Alright, 90-degree jig is really no problem. I just took another piece of scrap plywood that I had laying around, and one corner that's 90 degrees. Drilled a hole, and on the top one I used a knob, and on the bottom groove I used a bolt because there isn't room for two knobs when you're this close. But it kind of naturally hangs plumb, but I did square it up. I can show you that in a minute. But I want to try this. I've got these two boards that I had earlier, and I'm going to mark these. They're 3.5 inches wide, so I'm going to put this as this face, this one, and this edge toward my stop. So if I bring this in here, I've got a couple clamps down here as well. And if I want to flush this up, I'm going to leave it just a little bit high. At least I think I am. No, I'm not. I'm going to get it perfectly flush. Tighten that one up, bring this other one in, and tighten it up. Alright, so now I know this is flush to my tape board and my support board back here. I'm considering cutting some spacer blocks to put in underneath here, but this is still pretty firm. I'll bring my shaper in and see how this will work for what I want to do. I want to cut the same box joint as I did earlier. I'll just set this on my I'll call it my workstation now. Plug that in. Get my exhaust hose hooked up here. Get this fired up. And I'll show you what it looks like from this angle. I like this work height too. It's comfortable for me. My arm's at a right angle. So that's going to be good, I think. Alright, I'll get things hooked up here and bring my camera around to this side so you can see what's going on. Alright, you can see my old cuts here. I'm going to erase all this. And then I'm going to do a new scan. Scan. Let's try add 2. All I'm doing is getting that board in my scan. Okay, so there's I can see my board now. Hope you can see that. I'm going to do a grid. New grid. Okay, got the bit low enough? Boy, it is almost identical to what I had before. I find that hard to believe, but it is. Okay, so from here, I'll turn this so the glare comes off of that. You want to go to Create, Basic Box Joint. My width is the same, my bit is the same, the thickness, I'm going to make that 0.8 this time. And I'm still going to go with 5 pins. Total pins, I should say, so it's 3 and 2. And then if you can see on here, let me zoom in on this. This has got the what I'm going to end up cutting is the A cut. I'm going to leave 3 pins on this piece. I'm going to waste out this area right here. Well, I've got to place the artwork, I'll call it. So I'm going lower left hand corner. That's why I did that grid. I'll set it there. Okay. And now you can see what I'm going to be cutting. Inside here. So I'll do this quickly and come back. I gotta get my dust control hooked up. Alright, I Z-touched, and the first thing I like to do here, I'm not that experienced at it, but I like to cut the pocket first and then come back and clean things up. So I'll do this way, and I do it in 3 steps: quarter, half, then my final depth of, I'm going to go 0.8 this time, so that they overlap each other a little bit. Okay, so that's the A cut. Now we'll do the B cut. So I'm going to have the X facing me this time. And I want to see how this joint goes together. Okay, snugged up tight. Now we come in here to do the cut again and go back to a quarter. oops, quarter. Okay, now back to design. Swap. Okay, so now it brings the B cut in. Now I'm going to be cutting out here. Same thing, I'll go to the pocket cut first. Yeah, pocket. It's going to leave a little lip on the outside there. That's all right. All right, here we go. I almost made a mistake there. I almost went on the line when I want to be inside the line. Let's see how we did here. So this is my, oh, I removed it. This is my X side. It's a good fit. Nice joint. Beautiful joint. See that just a little proud there? That is, and this is perfect. Right there, it's nice. This is flush. The X side is nice and flush. So is the other side for that matter. So I've got the, this is X to the outside and this is X on the inside. If I wanted this to be my outside face, that's not the way they were registered. Yeah, that's not going to go together. So when you're doing this, boy, that's a great fit. That is a great fit. When you're doing this, you have to be aware of that. Boy, oh boy, I like that setup. Let me show you this now, or this jig that I have here. Pretty simple, but let me get this camera down here. So this knob, then I've got a bolt underneath here, but this is the one that lets me locate it at 90 this way. Then I can tension this and lock it in place with this. Now as far as the angled cuts go, I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it. I don't really see myself doing that, but This will work for mortise and tenons, box joints, grooves, all that stuff. I'm about to use my shaper table that I've created, the big one, to drill a couple holes. I've had a bit of an epiphany, I guess, when it comes to this straight edge jig to register my work if I'm doing box joints. Instead of locating it on the right, I want to locate it on the left, and I also want to be able to just use the two knobs. So these holes are going to be offset. I got them. I'm using the metric system because this is a metric width opening, 40 millimeters on center, and so I've come down 125 millimeters from the top, which is right just short of 5 inches. Then 40 millimeters further down than that, 30 millimeters off of each edge. So 125 to 165, 30 in. This is about 100 millimeters in, and that gives it about 30 millimeters off that edge. But what that does is it gives me the offset to use the two locking knobs that I'm using down here. So let's drill these holes. I'm going to a depth of 3/4 of an inch, which should be just short of this penetrating into my table. And if it goes in a little bit, I'm not going to be that upset. So let's see what happens. I've got the hole set to be 252 thousandths, so I can use the helix setting when I punch these holes. The other thing I didn't do was use tape. I just used a couple wedges out here, and I had it clamped at the other end. Ooh, I just barely touched that one. See a little burn mark there? This one did not go through. That worked out pretty slick. You can see that I hit my marks here, or darn close. So they're offset enough to do that. Let me just see what happens here. Yep, right there. A couple through holes, offset. This is now my square edge. My knob should work. Nice. Get this one. Set that right here. So now you can see that I'm able to use the two knobs to set this as my right angled jig. Instead of using a tool, missed that. Yeah, I like that toolless operation. I don't know if you, yeah, you probably couldn't even see what I was doing there. So now my registration edge is right there. The other thing that I'm going to possibly need to do would be to move this over. You can see that this, or make this shorter, would be another solution to get it away from this drawer support here. But I'll just leave it as is for now. I like that. Alright, this is my old holes that I had for my right angle box joint jig, or whatever you want to say, holding vertical pieces or registering them to this. To the best of my ability, I think I located this. I want to keep this hole. I dropped the bit into that hole and found the location, wrote it down here. The number's not important, but from that location I designed an 80 millimeter circle, so 40 millimeters diameter, and kind of scribed an arc with my compass. But then I also scribed a couple lines here that are just past, probably about 50 degrees in either direction, so that I can swing this thing and pivot it. And now I'm just going to cut this arc in a series of passes here till I get to 3/4 of an inch. And hopefully it'll work. And you can see on my, let me show you on my shaper here. There's my design. So this is the hole. My original hole is right there. And then here's the arc going through the other previous hole that I had. And yet I'll be able to read these two lines on the screen as I make this arc. And I'll have to just do it, like I say, probably in about 3 passes. But I'm going to see if if I can salvage this piece to do double duty. So here we go. Hole, I mean, that's going to be perfect. The one little, let me back this out a little. The one little mistake I made was when I got to this point here, I hit the auto button instead of the retract button, so I went just a little bit past my arc there. No big deal. All right, let's get this out of here and see if it's going to do what I want. You can see I went just through onto my table here. that's going to be just lovely. Got a nice little happy face here. All right. So now, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to use a bolt in the top and a knob in the bottom. All right, that's okay. I've got this countersunk, and this will work here. And let me get a bolt and locate this first. Oh yeah. And that stays below this, which is good. Now I'm gonna have to figure out well, just because of the leverage, I can move that. I suppose I could put a stop over here to give it a little more support, but it does do what I want. Yeah, I think that'll be just fine. I think the thing to do is to make sure that you get these parallel. Well, turns out, when I think about this, I didn't even need this arc. All I need is parallel slots over here. I need the pivot point, but then in the slot I would locate my other bolt or knob. I can't use that knob, that'll interfere, that'll be too big. I'll have to get something smaller. There you have it. Two perfect slots. About 3/4 of an inch in from each side. Just barely through. Good thing I had that bolt countersunk. I was right on the edge of that, right there. Alright, let's see how this will operate now. Still plenty strong. But, you know, all it has to do is hold it in place. Let me get things situated here. That is much better and solid. Thing I've got to be careful of, that's just past. These lobes will stick out past this registration surface if you're not careful. So when I tighten that down, I've got to get it past that point right there. And this one I can use the other knob, and now it's locked. Now it's not moving. If I wanted to, I could put a third one up here if I needed. Let me just try that once. Like I said, I don't see me using this that much, but I do have that capability. So I think that's it for this. My Shaper Origin workstation. I think it'll do well. It already has. So you don't need the arc, just a couple of parallel slots. This is optional as well. And then this is my dedicated right angle. I think that's the way I'll use that. So, but the only other thing I can think of is making is a couple of support blocks in here to hold this. But that flex is so minute, I don't think I even need to do that either. Anyway, thanks for watching.